Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us once again on Real Talk Show hosted by Violet Mbiti. In this particular show, we usually highlight change makers from across the African continent who are doing amazing stuff. So today we are joined by none other than Mooketsi Benedict, who's going to share his entrepreneurial journey with us and who's also going to share with us even like the startups that he funds. What does he look at before funding an organization? So he has invested heavily in Africa, and he's going to share with us his journey to where he is right now. So welcome to the studio. Welcome to the studio, Mooketsi Benedict. Kindly unmute your line. Yeah, you may go ahead.
Hi, Violet. Good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Kindly share with us your journey to where you, to how you started, because we know that you just didn't start.
So maybe I can.
Yes. Go ahead, Mooketsi.
Okay, so like I'm really a serial entrepreneur. Yeah, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. I mean, I started in 2009. One of the things that inspired me to start the business was because, I thought like technology was probably one of the biggest things that I'd seen, after studying a bit in Germany. And I felt like, disrupting education was probably the first thing that was of interest to me. I was never one of those people that was looking for work. I mean, I got a government job and I quit after 7 days. So that's just like my story immediately after university, that I walked out of a university, I got a job in government. I stayed 7 days. The place was just not for me. Then of course, later on,
Mooketsi.
Yes.
Your camera. We would like to see the whole of your face. Yes, yeah, there.
Is it good?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah, continue. So you said that you got a job at a government agency, and
All right.
you resigned after 7 days. Continue.
Okay, let's do this. Let's connect with data.
You're live. Continue. So Mooketsi is trying to connect his network. Mooketsi, can you hear me? All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, you may now continue. You had stopped at the point where you had stated that you had resigned from government. Can you elaborate further?
Yeah, so like I said, I mean, I walked out of university. I immediately got a job offer in government. I took it. I stayed only for 7 days. Actually, it was not even 7 days, it was 5 days. I immediately resigned because that was just not the space for me. Then post that, I decided to build NGWANA Enterprises, which is now NGWANA Africa. And the journey was so exciting. In the period in which we're building the company, we set up Botswana's first technology accelerator, which works with early stage startups. We trained over 1,000 entrepreneurs. Some of them have gone and built their own businesses. Some have gone and raised quite a lot of money. What we also successfully did is we built Botswana's biggest coding initiative. If you speak about the introduction of coding in Botswana, we did that, and we raised a lot of money while doing that. It was really fun. What we've recently been doing is now working with early stage startups. What we do with this early stage startup is that we help them with the structure they need in order to raise funding. So that's sort of the space that I'm in now. But over the last 10 years, it's been about building, the Botswana startup ecosystem, but also working with entrepreneurs and, raising a lot of the money that we need to be where we are. So that's really what I can tell you about us.
Great, great. So I read your bio, and you had stated that you do fund startups. So what do you look at before you fund an organization?
Well, the first thing is solving a problem. That's the first thing that we will identify is you need to be problem solving space. Basically, what pre-qualifies you is the size of your problem, the value that your problem is adding to any particular location that you are solving. Then, of course, it's always about being tech driven. So we will predominantly select companies that have what we call software as a service in them, that are not SMEs, but it's more software-based company. So this is the selection criteria that we use.
And you are you recently organized the Global Entrepreneurship Week, Botswana. Kindly state why you decided to organize the event and how was it?
Yeah, well, look, the first thing is to find people like you, who are bringing capacity and expertise into the Global Entrepreneurship Week. This is, of course, we are the first people to start it in Botswana. I mean, it's not a new thing. We started it in 2013 when nobody even knew like there was a thing called entrepreneurship. In the country, they were just finding themselves building businesses. We also help structure Botswana's first entrepreneurship ecosystem. If you look quite closely, you'll see that this is work that I've personally put energy in doing with the support of people like the World Bank, a lot of the companies in Botswana, the corporate companies. And this is a journey that's been there since 2018. So for this year, it was quite exciting because I managed to get my team to partner with a lot of corporate, including development partners like the World Bank, the European Union, the French and German embassy. As you saw their participation, we also brought in people from around the world, because if anybody's going to build a company anywhere, they're not going to do it with their local expertise. They're going to use their friends. They're going to use people in their networks, because having a network of people that have built and that come from countries that have built successful startup ecosystems is the winner for us. So Botswana's success this year with the Global Entrepreneurship Week was really about showing that, to build Botswana startup ecosystem, we're gonna have to welcome and open our borders from experts around the world to help work with those that have done it. And it's deliberate that we invited you from Kenya, because Kenya started this story in Africa with M-Pesa and Usafiri, all that of stuff. And these are lessons that we wanted to really take home without having to jump to Europe, to Singapore, and all these other countries. We know in Africa that people are already doing this and that have done it successfully.
Great. Do you think startups are the way to go for developing Africa?
Well, look, the problem is yes. Startups are the future in Africa. Other people call for SMEs. These are two different things if you look at them, okay? Right now, if you look at Rwanda, everybody talks about, the drone company that delivers blood. These are not SMEs. These are companies that are using future technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning. AI, data science. So this is the future that every single country in Africa should probably think about. When you also think about the success of Silicon Valley, you speak about Facebook, you speak about WhatsApp, you speak about Uber. These are all startups. They are not SME. So, but of course, in Africa, the situation is different. The problems in Africa is about hunger, it's about HIV, health, it's about you know, food security. So, but I think with the combination of the startup model uh, together with the SME model, we can build a hybrid that can use technology. So, and because it's important to not leave people behind with connecting them, startups are a sign that countries are connected. Nobody goes to the bank anymore. I mean, with your phone, you are able to transact. That's because of a startup. So if you can tell me you don't need a WhatsApp where you are, that would answer your question as to whether if startups are the future or not.
All right. Is collaboration between African startups essential?
Well, Violet, look, times are gone. Nobody's going to build a successful company alone. For you to build anything that's scalable, that's going to grow, that's going to have impact, that's going to give you retirement, you need to collaborate. Singapore has been what it is because it's it, it's succeeded in collaborating with other countries and other people, its own people. Rwanda is doing the same because it's opening and collaborating with people around the world. Botswana has been successful in doing that in the past. Our diamond story of the success in Botswana is because of collaboration. So when I bring it home to companies, anybody who still thinks they're gonna build a company alone, they're gonna fail. Facebook was never built by one guy. Facebook was built by a collaboration of multitudes of people. That's why the company is still succeeding now and it's growing what it is. So even if you look at M-Pesa in Kenya, that company was not built by one person. It brought in ecosystem of people. You look at Andela in Nigeria, started by a local Nigerian, but we brought in other people to help build. The same with violence. If you want to come and do a tree planting initiative in Botswana, you're gonna have to collaborate with someone in Botswana so that foot of that idea works. Collaboration is the most important element of doing anything in the business world. So I would advise anyone trying to start up a company to make collaboration key to find what we call co-founders. Without a co-founder, you're gonna struggle to build anything.
True, very true. I have another question for you. Unemployment in Africa is high. Do you think startups are the solution?
Well, I wouldn't know, like, because Africa has 54 or 55 independent states. When we speak about unemployment, I don't know if we're talking about inequality that people are given just inequality, or is it do we have actual data that shows us that people are out of jobs? Because, for example, in a country like Botswana, which is fairly wealthy and rich and everything functions, when you speak about unemployment, I get worried sometimes to say, are we not just defining inequality? But of course, when you go to a country like Ethiopia, where you can practically see that the country and the population size is quite huge, then here you can talk about practical unemployment, which you can see. So the issue of unemployment is a bit subjective. But however, from in terms of startups and building companies, the advice would be that if you're a young person and you are said to be unemployed, well, you have a phone, you have an internet, you have a friend. Why not create something for yourself and stop this thing of creating CVs and looking for jobs? Because nobody's gonna hire you. Why don't you become your own solution? So the unemployment problem in Africa can only be addressed by people starting up. And that answers the question by saying yes. But people will need a few skills. You need a little bit of skill in coding. You need a little bit of skill in just basic computer usage, so that you are able to um, leverage the internet. And you also need the internet basically to be able to know what's happening around the world. I mean, it's so beautiful right now. We having this live session which is being watched by people around the world. So I'm sure somebody listening could be in Bangladesh or India or Gaborone or Cape Town or whatever. The message to them is that if you've got a smartphone and you've got a little bit of internet, why don't you change the story into being a creator rather than somebody looking for employment? Because when you talk employment, you're going to spend your time sending out stuff to people that don't care about you. So why don't we change it and actually have everyone just create a company? That's probably one way in which we can say startups can solve this problem. But of course, that type of company needs to be an internet company because then it doesn't require money; it just requires internet because you're all connected every day. So if you're on Facebook every day, why don't you get on Facebook and use it to your advantage than to be a consumer? So that would be one way in which we can address the unemployment issue.
Okay. So at this time of COVID-19, startups have been struggling. So what message do you have for the founders of startups at this particular period of time?
Well, from what I've heard, as somebody who invests in startups, a lot of startups haven't actually struggled. What's happened with a lot of startups is they've raised a lot of money. Remember what I said to you. It's all about problem solving. If you are in the startup world, and people right now they want to deliver. There's a lockdown in Kenya, and people want delivery of alcohol, and you leverage the internet to make sure you move a commodity from city A to city B. Then you win. Then you have investors because you know that you're solving a problem that's practical. And that problem is exponential. It's not only a Kenya problem, it's also a Botswana problem. So I think there are people that have taken advantage of COVID as startups that have grown and built interesting companies. I've seen you, Violet, for example. I mean, you started this podcast. I don't see you as struggling. You have actually created a digital asset. This is your content. This is information. So those that have seen this as a disadvantage, they need to look at what happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago, when Facebook was starting, everybody was thinking there was a recession and there was all of that. So the world has changed. So there's been an advantage to all of this situation. Outside, of course, just the normal lack of safety of people's health, but a lot of exponential, disruption has happened in moving things from the physical to the online, which is an advantage to a lot of us. I mean, I can collaborate with you online without flying to Kenya. We can do work like we were doing last week. We can interact more. There are platforms like StreamYard, and so on that have come. So it's really more of an advantage to the African young person than a disadvantage. But of course, it depends where you are. If you are offline and you don't have internet, then this is the biggest disadvantage for you. So find a means of getting to a place where you can get connectivity.
All right. So
All you need
so
is
what
this phone
messages?
and internet. You don't need anything else. The rest is in your brain.
All right. All right. Before I come to my last question, Bisimwa Mahano, who's Congolese but residing in Uganda, has a question for you. So I'm adding him to the screen. Hi, Bisimwa. Hi, Bisimwa.
Yes.
Yes. Kindly ask our guest your question.
Hi. How are you?
Bisimwa, we can't hear you. You can kindly comment on the. You can kindly type in the comment section so that I may ask Mooketsi your question. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because your internet is having issues. Oh, he's trying. Okay. All right. So I think he's going to type. So So what message do you have for African governments regarding supporting SMEs?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm that people hired to do that. So, but anyway, I mean, at the top of my mind, if I was to put myself in a job of a government person, as an advisor, okay, I wouldn't advise governments. I'm not the best person to advise government, but for me to advise entrepreneurs who are looking to talk to their governments, um, I think you need to build your ecosystem where you are. Um, Look for people around you who support and understand what you're trying to do. By doing this, then you ultimately create an ecosystem. An ecosystem doesn't have to be like um, a formal syndication of government people or high level corporate people. It could be people that just care about a common cause. Find people who understand what you want to do, who share the values in solving the problems that you guys have in your community. That'll be one way of starting. And trust me, once you create a tribe or a group of following, that's usually large in what you are calling for. Those in government will quickly bring themselves to want to work with you because they always want to seem relevant. So I think it's important for entrepreneurs to focus on what they are doing, and to really create networks rather than be knocking in government offices all the time. That will be the biggest waste of the time. Let them chase you, rather than you chase them. You don't really need a lot of permission from government to create a startup ecosystem. You need the government actually just needs to create a policy. So, but the rest is for you as entrepreneur to do the rest. So that would be my advice to entrepreneurs. For government, I think it's for policy that they need to make policy favorable for those building companies.
All right. So Bisimwa from DRC, who has started a social enterprise in Uganda. So let me tell you about his social enterprise. So there, he has hired tailors who are now he's training women how to sew, and these women have been producing clothes. Okay. And
Yeah.
they have been selling in their communities. So when he heard that you are going to join this particular uh, show, he wanted to ask, what advice can you give him, and are you able to support his work?
Well, like I said, for us, it's always about problem.
We can't see your face.
Can you see me now?
Continue. Yes.
I was saying for us, it's always about problem solving. So the first thing would be to ask him what problem he's actually solving. Then, and how fast can this problem, how big is this problem? Then what is the value addition of what he's doing, um, to himself and his potential partners? Is it profits? Is it social? Then of course, does this project have capacity to scale outside base being Uganda? Then finally, if he is looking for investors, a process of due diligence will need to be made, to see who he is, if he's got a co-founder. Like I said, if you're building alone, it's always difficult. Then obviously we check for references, or what we call warm introductions. So if Violet is making a warm introduction, has Violet actually invested $1 in this? Or then we look for other people in the Uganda investor network who who would be asked to come in and check if this is a credible business to put our money in. I think post all of that, we would then do what we call a startup valuation. That would then involve processes of legal and so on. And yeah, of course, then if he satisfies what we think to be a scalable business, then of course we will take some equity, which is our model. We don't take anything more than 30% of your business. Then we will finance the business. The money is not our money. Money is taken from other people who have money, who trust us to invest on their behalf. So we would be kind enough to ensure that the entrepreneur understands that, because at the end of the day, people who invest expect their return. But of course, we always take risk, into calculation that this might fail. Those who finance with us also know that. But our processes are not easy if there is no way of tracking and finding this business using technology. So if there is no technology infusion in this, the process becomes very hard. Then we always need some recommendations to look for other alternative sources of funding, which could be grants, bank loans, and so on, for such traditional type of business. But of course, it's up to the partners to assess and see if that company meets the necessary requirements.
All right. So thanks, Mooketsi, for sharing. So what are your last words for aspiring startups and those ones who are already in business?
Well, I mean, the thing is to say, look, platforms such as this one created by Violet and Mbiti, future. If you still have a television in your house, you still wake up in the morning and switch on TV, you are still stuck in 2001. The world is in 2020. So bring yourself closer to platforms like these, where you can get real, real factual stuff that's happening in the real world. Get yourself online. I'm not asking you to create a Facebook page or to join YouTube or whatever, but just get online. And then once you're online, follow the right people. Like, just don't get on WhatsApp, WhatsApping your friends and stuff like that. People are making money on WhatsApp. So people are making money on Facebook. People are making money on YouTube. So the internet is the new money, is the new currency. I mean, that would be the most advice I'd give to anyone. It could be this colleague from Uganda. If he wanted to sell his business or pitch to me, the internet is his resource. He doesn't need, the internet can answer me in 1 minute as to whether this guy is actually doing what he's doing, yes or no. Then, of course, it's important to be in the right place at the right time. Because of the political fragmentation in Africa, it's an advantage. It's also, don't bring yourself into countries that are well established. You will have nothing to solve because all the problems have been solved. Look for countries that are still need solutions, that still need technology, that still need problems to be solved. That's where your market is. And of course, try to think numbers. Numbers are always important, okay? I mean, don't just build a business because you're in Kenya or you're in Rwanda or wherever you are. You need to know, a business is always about how many people are using or are buying from you, the market basically. So it's very important that you know the numbers. Look at where the population is in Africa. Look at the practical problems of these population. That's where you win. And then, of course, another thing is, look, traditional way of financing used to be government grants, loans, and all of that. But the internet has changed all of it. I mean, if you look at the profile of people that post on a show, those are potential people that can finance your business. So look for such people in your community first. Then, if those people are not able to support you, just know like the world has other people somewhere, in some city or some village, who've got idle money who might be willing to bet on you. So don't just be discouraged because a local bank or a local finance institution doesn't want to give you money. There's too much money out there. You just have to look for it in a smart way. But be willing to share. Don't have the mentality to want to, like I said, to build alone. Yes, it's your idea, but the ideas are like you don't own oxygen, okay? Everybody, the air that I breathe, somebody in Kenya is breathing it right now. So don't claim to own oxygen because you just need to know like it belongs to all of us. It's like God given. Ideas are like that. So if you want to win fast, execute your idea. Like execute, then protect your idea. But if you have not executed and you're just talking and you're just talking and you're just talking, then you're not making any significant change. So the quickest people to win will be those that don't wait for money, don't wait for permissions, don't wait for whatever. It will be those that identify the problem, quickly they find another person who comes in as a co-founder, a co-collaborator, then they build. The money will just follow. Money always follows good ideas that are trending. Then finally, I think it's important that the landscape, like I said, be right. So those that are responsible for policy should try to create favorable policy environment for people building businesses. So we should try to copy and follow what other countries that are succeeding in this are doing, so that the young person in Africa can win in this journey of entrepreneurship. And as I conclude, I mean, let me just be frank also and say, entrepreneurship is very hard for those that don't have a support system. So it's a lonely journey. It requires patience. But so don't build with a quick expectation. It can take 10 years before you get your success. It can take 6 months. It can take 3 months. It's all about luck. So bet on your ideas, fail fast, and try to solve practical problems in your community. So that will be my conclusion on this channel.
Thank you, Mooketsi, for sharing, and even Bisimwa, who is also on board, has also had who's also online, has had you answer his question. So I want to say thank you for gracing the set of Real Talk Show hosted by Violet Mbiti. And thank you for answering pertinent questions that entrepreneurs ask. And thank you even for sharing regarding the startup ecosystem here in Africa. So thank you, Mooketsi, for your time. We appreciate, and we've come to the end of the broadcast. Goodbye, Mooketsi.
All right, thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So viewer, we've come to the end of the show, and we want to say thank you. I hope that you are going to take heed of the advice that Mooketsi has shared with you. And as an entrepreneur, he has said that you should find a problem, solve that problem, and test that particular problem, and see whether that particular problem can scale up in your country and also scale up beyond even the borders of your particular country that you are residing in. So we want to say thank you for joining this live talk show. Join us next time as we bring on board another entrepreneur from Nakivale refugee camp, Uganda, and he's called Charles. So he has started a massive agribusiness in Nakivale, in a refugee camp in Uganda, and he's supplying food for them. So tune in on Monday at 1 p.m. We are scheduled to have him on board, and he's going to share with us his success and his story. So that's all from us. Thank you for joining us.